Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first Fierce Female Friday weekly live show in the WomanUP community 2022. Woo! Snaps all around. It's so exciting. We are so thrilled to be back for
our attendance ticker is going up.
Flying.
Just,
ding, 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 ding,
just hang tight a minute, slow your roll.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. We've been dreaming of this interview for weeks.
Yeah.
For weeks. Congress called last time.
That's right.
And stole you away, but we are so excited to have you here today. As you are joining us, everyone, you know the drill, or if you're new here, welcome. We love for you to drop in the comments in the chat box. Make sure you choose the everyone option in the little blue menu. Let us know where you are watching from today. Are you home? What city? What state? What country? What planet? Let us know where in the galaxy you are. We'd love to get you connected with each other. And of course, it's so much fun to look in the comments. Ooh. Oh, look at them all. Wow. Lots of Californians, of course.
Texas in the house.
Texas in the house. Metaverse. I love that.
My buddy Catherine.
That's so great. Yeah, keep that coming. Please make sure to connect with each other. That's part of one of our three big reasons we come together is to connect people from across the country who are like-minded, who are looking to build, grow, lead their brokerages. So welcome everyone. Again, if you just arrived, drop in the chat where you are from. And throughout the show, if you've got a burning question for Madam President, make sure to pop it in those comments, or you can shoot us a Q&A there. We'd love to fit it in. And if not, of course, we'll get the questions to Leslie and get the answers back to you when possible. Okay, so let's see. We've got 3 minutes. I think we'll get going here. Are you good with that? Everybody good with that? All right.
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay. So for those of you who are new, my name is Debra. I am one executive consultant and chief strategist here at WomanUP. I partner with Sara, who you'll meet in just a second. You'll see me most every one of these shine a light on her interviews, wrangling, producing, making sure that everyone has what they need. You also see me over on the Facebook group, on the Facebook page, and all throughout the socials. So if you want to join the community, have a light shown on you. If you want to share your story, if you've got someone you want to highlight, those stories come in through my desk. So I look forward to connecting with you throughout the year. We do have a new show flow this year. We are claiming that we will be in person in 2022 at the end of August. We are claiming it right now collectively. Everyone close your eyes and say, oh yeah, in person. We are claiming that. And so our show is this year, we're going to keep coming to you on Fridays at 2:00. Only on Fridays at 2:00. And it is going to be a mix of shine a light on her conversations like we're going to have today with Leslie Rouda Smith. We'll also have wisdom sessions on some of the Fridays. And of course, a monthly coffee and conversation with Leslie. We are also adding in a Monday event called Rise Up Rides, but I'm going to let our two Pelotoners talk about that in a second. This time of year, we love to talk about supporting each other in our goals and dreams. And one of the ways we do that inside the community is we share our word of the year. So make sure that you hop into the Facebook group and let us know what your word of the year is. We'll drop the comment to that Facebook string in here. We love to see that. If you are part of the Moxie community that I build outside of WomanUP, you know about the acrostic and acronym exercise that we go through. So we'd love to also know that, because that really helps us to get to know each other and to see ways that we can support you in what you want to accomplish this year. And then last but not least, the last WomanUP update is the leadership skills post that we started this week on the group. You all know it is our heart's desire to put together content that speaks to you, not that we decide, but that you raise your hand and say, yes, I want this. So that post is up on the group. It is front and center at the top. What leadership skill or skills do you want to learn or sharpen this year? We have about 90 comments already on the group. So many amazing ideas. I think the number one request so far is delegation. So we got some work to do on delegation. But remember, again, we use those replies to guide the content creation, our interview questions, and so much more. So let your voice be heard, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Sara, I'm dropping the mic to you. What's happened in the CAR industry world?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sara Rouda. I'm Senior Vice President at the California Association of Realtors, overseeing our member information department, which includes so many different things and initiatives. Our research and economics team, our DEI and fair housing team, our WomanUP team, our strategy and innovation team. So I am so happy to be here and be co-host for this amazing conversation with Leslie Rouda Smith. And I just want to clarify one thing. We aren't in person yet. We're in person in August. So that gives us plenty of time to be safe and get through this COVID peak that we are experiencing across the country. So be safe out there. And with that said, I'm really excited to not only be on this call today, but to also be on a panel with Leslie Rouda Smith, our president-elect, Jennifer Brancini, our treasurer, Heather Osier, and at the Women's Council of Realtors California event on Monday. So you'll see us there, and we're going to share our leadership journeys. So that's exciting. I'm writing a blog article right now for the WomanUP community, so you'll see that coming. And as Debra teased, we are going to start Peloton rides to keep us all accountable. If you have a Peloton, join the group. We'll share that in the link. And we have a special Peloton group for WomanUP. And Sabrina, shout out to Sabrina Brown, who created that. We won't be doing 6 a.m. Pacific time this Monday because we are observing Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but we will start those on January 24th, the following Monday. And one last thing I really want to share, and I'm so proud of my team who did so much work in the back end, our Housing Affordability Fund and our board of directors, because we finally, for the first time ever, have created a statewide Housing Affordability Fund closing cost assistance grant for underserved communities. This is huge. We're giving up to $10,000 for a first-time buyer from an underserved community. You have to work with a realtor. Our press release, I know some of you follow me on social media, and that post got so much love. Thank you so much. And we'll post it here in the chat. And our applications are going live on February 1st. They are in several communities in California. We have partnered with 3 amazing nonprofits, and it covers everywhere from the Inland Empire, the Bay Area, and Los Angeles. And we are looking to partner with more. So more to come on that. And I'm going to pass it on to Leslie Appleton Young to share what's on her mind.
Hi, everybody. I guess we're all doing brief introductions. So my brief introduction is that I was with the California Association of Realtors for 37 years and research, economics, policy, just an incredible career. And I retired at the end of last year with one of the most exciting things was being involved in the birth of WomanUP. So as I look at 2022, I'm really thrilled to be part of the Peloton group that's going to be riding. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia now, so I'll be at 9 o'clock. You'll be at 6 o'clock. But just to have that set point on Monday morning to get up and get going. I miss everyone so much. I miss the meetings. I miss the life. I mean, new chapters are great, but it just ended so abruptly. So I think this is going to be a win-win. And then I also had a quick book recommendation based on the delegation leadership component that was mentioned earlier. And it's actually a time management book that I bought for my daughter. And I I read a review in the Times and I gave it to her. She gave it back to me and she said, "Oh my God, this book, it's called 4,000 Weeks." And it starts with the reminder that that's what we've got. We've got 4,000 weeks on average on the planet. And I think having that mindset might be a little bit of a motivation to delegate more, to say no more, to protect the time you have and maximize its benefit. Anyway, it's like no other time management book I've ever read. It's called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And I do recommend it as a way to get to, I need to delegate because I'm worth it. And I don't have a lot of time. I don't have as much time as I thought I did.
Wow. 4,000 weeks.
That's it.
Oh, well, then we best get going.
Let's go.
Work to do.
Oh my goodness. All right. And well, now let us all put our hands in the air wherever we are, do a little dance party because we have a special guest with us today, Ms. Leslie Rouda Smith, the 2022 president of the National Association of Realtors. Woo! If I had a soundtrack, I would be
Drum roll.
party. All right. I have a fantastic bio to read. So everybody zen in for a second here. Leslie Rouda Smith has been a realtor for 36 years. She's from Plano, Texas, and is the 2022 president of the National Association of Realtors. Leslie is a broker associate at Dave Perry Miller Real Estate in Dallas, where she specializes in residential, ranch, and country real estate, along with her husband, Brian, and their children, Kristen and Austin, all of whom are realtors. At the national level, Leslie has been a member of NAR's board of directors since 2009 and has served several years on the executive committee. In 2017, she was the vice president for Region 10, comprised of Louisiana and Texas, and she chairs the Future of the Realtor Party, PAG. In 2013, she served on the NAR leadership team as vice president. In 2009 and 2011, she served as liaison for 2 NAR past presidents. Also in 2011, she chaired the Leadership Academy Advisory Board, served as the political fundraising liaison, and served on presidential advisory groups for political survival, as well as National Flood Insurance Program implementation. In 2008, Leslie chaired the Professional Development Committee. Leslie is very active in Realtor Party activities. She's been a member of RPR LLC Board of Directors and was a longtime regent for the Realtor University. She has experience serving on numerous NAR committees, including finance, strategic thinking, communications, and research. At the state level, Leslie was the 2016 chairman of the Board of Texas Realtors. She has served on their board of directors for multiple terms. She was named their 2018 Realtor of the Year and received the Texas Realtor Distinguished Service Award in 2014. She was the founder of the Texas Realtor State YPN Network. Leslie is a past recipient of the Salesperson of the Year Award from a local association. She received Realtor of the Year from her local board, the Collin County Association of Realtors in Plano, Texas. She served as president of the Dallas network of the Women's Council of Realtors in 1998. And in 2014, she was named Entrepreneur of the Year for the Texas Women's Council of Realtors Network. Active in her community, Leslie has volunteered on behalf of affordable housing programs, neighborhood revitalization, and housing opportunity initiatives. She has a bachelor's degree in communications from the Ohio State University, where she was named an outstanding young alumni. Wow, 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 wow.
Incredible.
Welcome.
Thank you. I may be a Texan, but I'm from Ohio.
I still have the Buckeye. I have the Buckeye
You
from
do?
your
Okay, good.
institution.
Everyone should have a Buckeye.
Leslie, you are no stranger to leadership, given that amazing bio. And we'd love to hear a little bit more from your perspective, your leadership journey. You know, what led you to this moment? Because you are at the pinnacle. You are leading an organization with 1.4 million realtors across the nation. How did you get there?
Well, it's kind of interesting. And these ladies know me well enough to know that I just kind of call it like it is. I don't fluff things up. I just say it like it is. So I grew up in a family of realtors. I'm a second generation realtor, and my two kids are third generation realtors. My father was president of the National Association of Realtors in 1991 from Columbus, Ohio. He was also the founder of Real Living Franchise, which has been owned by Home Services. So I always say I don't know any better, because my dad started his company when my mother was pregnant with me. So you could just say I was conceived in real estate, because I was. That's a fact. So I don't know any better. It's all I've ever known, but I wouldn't do anything any differently. But what I will tell you, if you're around my age, you might have experienced this, but I am one of 4 children, and I am the only daughter. And my job was to stay home and raise those grandchildren for grandma and grandpa, not to be involved in real estate. Of course, I got to Texas as quickly as I could, and I wrote me a cowboy. And we've been happily married for more than 35 years. And we met in real estate, and he's a ranch and country property broker. So I really did rope a cowboy when I got here.
Wow.
But I also was raised with a father who believed that I had my role in life, and it wasn't to be in leadership. It wasn't to own my own company. It wasn't to be a successful career woman. So I got to Texas and I built my own company, sold it, acquired another company with 400 agents and 11 offices, sold it. And I created a partner model that was very successful. And just to let you know how serious my dad was about this, he was the 1991 president. And I attended every single NAR meeting since who knows when. But I wasn't ever a member of a committee, not chairman of the committee, just a member until 2004, 13 years after he was president. And somebody else gave me that opportunity because I wasn't supposed to be on a committee. So having been raised in real estate, it's funny because when we were a senior in high school, wherever the NAR convention was our senior trip with mom and dad. So my year in high school, I lucked out it was in Las Vegas and I was underage.
Did you have a fake ID?
I was 17 years old, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, you couldn't get away with that now, but back then, they didn't card anybody. And said, do you want a drink? Sure. What do you have? So it was a lot of fun, but I always have great memories from that. And I know one of the things I said at my inaugural too, that brings back so many memories, is my mother bought ornaments for our Christmas trees at every NAR convention. So I have, and she hand painted the dates on them all, so you knew what year that ornament was from. So I'm pretty good at remembering where the conventions have been over the years, but I have a lot of great memories, and I'm very fortunate to have been given the opportunities that people saw in me to get me where I am today. So it takes a village.
That is really beautiful, Leslie. And in your bio, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, is the Women's Council of Realtors. Can you tell us a little bit more about how they played a role in supporting you? We love them. We're partners. We support each other because we need more of these groups and communities, right? And we need to support each other.
Well, and I can tell you too, having been raised in real estate, there is no place that women can make the money that they make in real estate and be their own boss. Nobody can stop us from being successful, including my father. Nobody can stop us. That's what makes this business so amazing, besides the fact that we get to help people with the most important purchase of their entire life. But Women's Council, it's interesting. My father asked me to do the invocation for his inaugural in November 1990 in New Orleans. And I was like, oh gosh, Dad, really, I think that, my older brother should probably have the honors, and I should probably do the Pledge of Allegiance with my 2 younger brothers, and I'll stand in the middle and be a lot more effective. Don't you think? So he was really adamant that I do the invocation, but I had my way and my older brother did it. And I always felt like I let my dad down. And it's interesting, first of all, when you know that I grew up dancing on stage. I just didn't really like the microphone. My degree is in television and radio, but I wanted to be the camera person, not the news anchor. And if I was going to be on the air, I wanted to be a DJ so that I could have a bad hair day and nobody would know. So come along Women's Council in like the mid to late 90s. They wanted me to be their secretary treasurer. And I'm like, oh no. I just went through a group of a bunch of catty women and I'm not doing that. Women's Council, no, I'm not doing it. So they told me why it would be awesome. And I'm like, well, of course you're going to sell me. Aren't we all in sales? So eventually I said, okay, I'll do it 1 year. I am not interested in moving up. I'm just like one and done. So anyway, I did it as their like secretary, whatever. I think it was secretary treasurer. And then I did it another year and they asked me if I would get in the automatic ascension. I was like, oh, I knew this was coming. But I got to tell you something. Some of my favorite people in the world have been from Women's Council. And I'm talking friends in their 20s to their 90s. And I'm not kidding. I literally had friends in all those age groups. They were so supportive, so encouraging. And I was one of these people, even though I grew up dancing on stage and I was fine with that, I just didn't want to talk. And it is all in your head. I can tell you that from my own personal experience. And I just had to get out of my own head and overcome speaking in front of people. And that was just, I was determined I was going to make that happen. I went through various things that I implemented on my own self to overcome it. But Women's Council was where I got the support and the encouragement I needed as a woman to have that kind of support, especially when I didn't have it from my dad. So it really did make a difference. But I got to tell you, just a little side note, the last couple of years of my dad's life, he begged me to come back and run his company. I said, I own a competitor. And the color would drain out of his face. And I said, so no, I'm not. He goes, are you telling me no? I said, I just did. And he said, well, you have a better business mind than all three of your brothers put together. And I said, and you figured that out too late. And, so anyway, in the end, how you don't want to be vindictive. I love my dad. My dad was amazing in so many ways. If you ask anybody about any NAR past president, he loved the members as much as anyone I've ever known. He loved people. He was the world's greatest joke teller, and he was a phenomenal orator. So my dad was a very, very much loved man. And I learned so much of what I am and what led me to where I am today because of my father. There were just a lot of stops that he put in front of me that, made it a little harder to get where I am. But I think that's why I am who I am, because of that.
I think, and before Leslie Appleton Young goes, I think he was probably the most proud for underestimating you.
Yeah, probably. That's a good way to put it, Sara. I mean, it's funny. I have to joke and say this because, like I said, I call it like it is. But when I was elected in DC in 2019, everyone said, oh my gosh, your father's looking down on you, just so proud. And I'm like, no. He's looking down on me going, how the hell did that happen? And you know what? That just gives me pleasure every day, knowing that he's probably wondering, but I do know that if he were living today, he would be very proud. I have no doubt.
Right.
Now, Leslie, I remember your dad and I remember his presidency year. And I just from my perspective, and I've been with CAR, I don't know, 6 or 7 years at that point, he was kind of an icon even before he was president. But when he was president, my whole vision of him was just someone that could fill up a room and honestly take a lot of the oxygen out of it. You know, he was just such a big presence. And I just want to say, I think you're a little like that in a really good way. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just but it's like such a positive force. And I loved what you said about the real estate industry. And I think this is a theme that comes up over and over. You get to decide. No one can tell you no. And in other professions and industries, and I've talked about the economics profession, people do tell you no all the time because you're female. And just to have this spot, you nailed it. However, what I'd like to ask you about is some of the difficult times. We talked a few years ago at our conference about Abby Wambach's speech, where she talks about let failure be your fuel, and how important it is to take those moments and build and learn and go forward from them. So we'd really like to hear some of the things that didn't work out so well, maybe initially, what you learned and how you got back up again and made it work.
Well, so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about a couple examples. One of them was when I acquired Prudential, that when I had the 400 agents and I was the CEO and managing partner, I kept somebody on board in senior leadership that my partners didn't think I should keep, but I felt like I was more the ambassador. They'd been with the company for years, so they knew the inside. So I said, let's just see how it plays out. It was an enormous mistake. I should never have allowed that guy to stay in there because, he was threatened by me. And it created all kinds of internal problems, even within the partners. So that was one thing that I definitely, trying to be nice and giving someone a chance, kind of backfired on me. The other one actually has to do with Women's Council. When I was president, I was on my way to the board office for a Women's Council, directors meeting, just the governing board. And somebody had lost a big bucket of paint off the back of their truck, and I didn't see it, and I drove through it, and my entire car was a new color. So I went straight to a car wash and said, I don't care what it costs, get this off my car. And so I called the board and I said, look, I'm not going to get there. You need to have so-and-so run the meeting for me. So I get my car all cleaned up. I get to the association office right when they're adjourning. And they said, did you hear? And I said, hear what? And they said, what happened? And I said, no, I didn't hear what happened. And they said, well, so-and-so and so-and-so got into it really badly. And they told me a little bit about what happened. And I pulled both of them aside and I said, number one, that's not ever happening again on my watch. Number two, since you both go to the same MLS meeting next Tuesday morning, we're going to meet afterwards and we're going to discuss this, and I'll be the mediator. Ooh. And so they had to think about it for 5 days, like, oh, Lordy, Lordy. And I was afraid they weren't going to show up, but they both showed up. And one of them decided she wasn't going to like the other one. And the other one apologized and tried to make amends. So it didn't really end, like we weren't all buddies or anything like that. But I just said, okay, both of you have spoken your mind to each other. You both know how the other one feels, and we're not ever going to talk about this again. I don't want to hear it at a general meeting. I don't want to hear it at anything ever again. It is done. It is behind us. You don't like her. She's willing to make it work. If y'all change your mind, you talk about it later on the side, but not here. And that was the end of that. Never heard another word. They never liked each other again, and that's fine.
And that's fine, right? Yeah. So the first example that you used about keeping someone on, and maybe there were reasons like legacy, and I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you were in that position today, my guess is you would pull the plug when people suggested it, right?
Yeah, I probably would have done a little bit more investigation on it to know that the decision that I made was the right one, instead of going with like my heart. Like what you're saying, they've been here for like 12 years. I don't want to just throw them out, the door before I even know if they're worthy. Plus, I knew just the knowledge that they had about the company in general, having been there at that level that long. And so I was kind of thinking of it as I'll learn from them. We'll work together, but in different ways. But it wasn't never going to work that way because he felt threatened by me. So my mistake for not seeing that. I was a little younger than I am now. I probably would look at it a lot differently now. And I probably would have seen that and read it right away. But this was a long time ago.
Is with spouses and staff, if it's not working out after a little while, it probably isn't going to work out. You know what I mean?
Well, and I came to figure out.
Leslie.
This is, what's so bad though? I would go into any of the offices. We had 11 offices. I'd go in the offices and turn my phone off. Because he had somebody in technology who knew how to like ping into our phones, and they were collecting login codes to people's personal emails that were not even the business email. Terrible. If a package was mailed to me, he would open it and tape it shut to see what I was getting. And I thought it was worse than I ever imagined. So
we're at stake there.
I was being too nice. That was my problem.
I don't think I've ever had a negative interaction with a staff member or a partner that I didn't learn from. So at least you can always say, and you can say you learned from it, and where you change the behavior is how to move forward.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I
That's
totally
why
agree.
they call it the school of hard knocks, right?
Isn't it though? Well, it's kind of like I probably wouldn't be where I am today if my dad wasn't so hard on me.
Right.
You know, I
That's
mean, who
right.
knows?
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think it's when you seem to come from the philosophy of life happens for me, not to me.
Mhm.
And I think that that is something that I think we're born with that, and then it's taught out of us. And so
Mhm.
you just were like, you're not taking that from me.
No,
You,
that's right.
no one
My
took it
dad would
from you.
ask me questions about my company. I will tell you something that was one of the funniest things. He said, "So you're starting your own company?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Would you have investors?" "Yes." "Do you want me to invest?" "No." "You mean you have enough?" "I do." "Well, what if I want to invest?" I said, "Well, I would have to go to my 10 investors and ask if they're willing to dilute their ownership. Why don't you do that?" Because
Uh,
he was just blown away that I didn't need him.
yeah.
He couldn't
Yeah.
believe that. So
That
he
is
learned a lot from
incredible.
me that,
Yeah.
he wasn't going to control me, number one. And I think he thought he could because I'm female.
Yeah.
And I think he thought that, and of course, he certainly was a very successful businessman too. But he found out real fast that wasn't how it worked. He'd say, "Can I speak to your office?" I said, "Well, if I have a meeting and you're here, we'll talk about that." But I never made it like it was easy for him because he never made it easy for me. I wanted him
Yeah.
to understand what you're doing to me. I'm going to give you a little taste of that yourself because I'm in control here. You're not.
Yeah.
And I think he learned a lot from that too.
Well, I think what's interesting is past generations. I truly believe they did the best they could with what they knew, what they were taught, right? And so I love that you were like, "Oh, I'm going to teach you right back." This is and we do have that ability, right? And I think that there's a lot of our community that does have parents or mentors that do still come from that way of thinking, right? Like women leading their own brokerage. What is that about? And I think that we can teach people how to treat us, right?
Yes.
And they have the ability to unlearn what they learned and remember what we're telling them. So that's very powerful. And I really want to say, before I ask your next question, Leslie, that inside the chat, there is so much love for you and your bravery of sharing your story. You are inspiring so many people today with being real, and we know that you're real. Our community is fast learning that. So thank you so much for opening up and sharing your story of perseverance and your side of sass. Okay, so let's dig into something that is very near and dear to the hearts of our community, and that's the fact that you are the seventh female president in NAR's nearly 115-year history. And you are leading a 7-member leadership team that is majority female for the first time ever.
Yes.
For a
Yes.
trade organization that's 2/3 female. Like this deserves snaps, claps, the whole kit and caboodle, the happy dances. It's such a magnificent opportunity to shine a light on the magic and power of women in leadership, and especially women working well together. And we had Shannon on last month, and we could feel the magic between the two of you, even though you weren't in the virtual room with us. And these are the stories that we love to highlight, because the media loves to talk about us like women against women and cat fights and backstabbing. And we don't believe that to be the majority. We just believe that the negative is easier to remember. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what you have, what kind of projects and programs that you are most excited about working on with this epic team, mostly female team.
So I got to tell you just real quick, just a little bit of history. With the 7 members of the leadership team, 2 of them are appointed, 5 of them are elected, 4 of them are in ascension positions. The only elected position that's not an ascension position is our treasurer, and that's a 2-year term. So there have been 2 male presidents who have had 2 female vice presidents, but I'm the first female president to have 2 female vice presidents. So I was already off to a good start, 3 out of 7. I just need at least one more woman. Well, not only did we get a woman treasurer for only the second time in 115 years, but we got our 8th woman elected last May. So that makes 5 women and 2 men. Aren't they lucky? I think so.
Yes, learn a lot from this group.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I've got, of course, all our strategic priorities and things that we work on. DE&I is hugely important, and we've got to continue to be better stewards of balancing our leadership to look like our membership. And I've seen many a year when it's just been, we can all imagine that it was just all a bunch of white men, and you're thinking, oh, I guess nobody else can do this, but 2/3 of us are women. You might want to, maybe we could do something for you here. And, Leslie, you said something about, what it's like in leadership with men. It's still not that easy. I can be honest with you. I mean, I have jokingly said it's really DE&E, and I've been asked what that means. And I said diversity, equity, and exclusion, because I see women still being excluded. And that's not where we are in this world. We're in this together, and we all need to be represented. And I will continue down that path, and I will continue preaching for as long as I need to. But I will tell you about my 3 S's. One of them is sustainability, which my husband and I own a ranch about an hour from downtown Dallas. And it's mostly a wildlife ranch. And we have frontage on the river that comes out of Dallas, 3 distinct ecosystems, and it's wildlife management. And we have a lot of native grasses for erosion. It's just, my husband's more into this kind of stuff. And we actually won the Lone Star Land Steward Award from the Texas Parks and Wildlife for all the work that we have done on our ranch. So I'm very into sustainability. I'd like to be more into it. And I want to continue to do like sustainability tips and things throughout the year, that you don't have to have land. You could live in an apartment. There are a lot of things we could do to be more sustainable. And the first one would be, like we are all probably at fault for, including me, are water bottles. So last year I did a beach cleanup in Laguna Beach, and most people had 4 people to a bucket to fill. No, I had my own bucket, and I wasn't stopping until it was full. Because when they told me what happens to all the marine life from all the trash on the beach, even a little piece of styrofoam or plastic, it just breaks your heart to even think about it. So sustainability is near and dear to my heart. The next S would be strength in numbers, because we have, as of I think yesterday, we have 1 million, I think almost 600,000 members. We're almost 1.6. So and we are, for those who don't know, the largest trade association in the world. So we are all members of that. So that is pretty cool. But also we have the strength in numbers, certainly when it comes to Capitol Hill or being the voice for real estate. But we also need to talk about strength in mind and body, especially after what we've been through the last couple of years. So your Peloton thing is just awesome. And, I'm one of these people that, I say, I find it, I lose it. I find it, I lose it. It's the same darn 10 pounds that just, I find it, lose it. And right now I have found it. And it's probably because we just came off of the holidays. So I want to start working out a little more. And I do work out, just to let you all know, when people say, oh, I can't work out, I travel, or I live in an apartment. Yes, you can, because I do it in a hotel room. So trust me, I don't care if you're doing it on your kitchen floor, you can do it if you want to. I carry my double tube with me everywhere I go. And, I may be exercising when I'm brushing my teeth, walking around my room, whatever it may be, talking on the phone, because I don't normally sit still or stand still, because I'm always moving. So everyone can do that. You can all play your own role, and you can be who you want to be and what you want to be. It just takes work, and we all need to do that. So, and the other one is, the other S is safety. And that's just because I have a good friend of mine from years ago who was left for dead in a vacant home. And then I had 2 other friends that were tied up and robbed at gunpoint. The 2 that were robbed at gunpoint got out of the business. The one that was stabbed and left for dead actually got back into real estate. Don't ask me how. But when I think about, our job's pretty dangerous. And I hope everyone is very, very careful and conscientious of what goes on around you. Are you being followed? Don't go into vacant homes alone. Make sure people know where you are. And there's a lot of information about this if you're a manager or broker, to share with your offices at nar.realtor. All you need to do is put safety in the search bar, and you'll find all kinds of things, but we all need to be careful. There's a lot of crazy people out there right now.
Amen. Well, you know, we have a couple of members inside the WomanUP community. I'm thinking of Tracy Hawkins in particular. She is so great about letting us know what's happening out there. And also Connie Myers, who does a lot of things on disaster. So it's not necessarily specifically safety, but really reminding us, like, be prepared, keep your eyes open, you know, like trust our intuition when things feel away, when we get that little tinge in our body, little hairs moving on the back of our neck, like trust that. Don't go in the house. Don't go in.
So everybody be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe, right? Absolutely. I love that. Well, I think you've covered all of the points. I do want to go back to the DEI statement that you made about the instead of inclusion, it's exclusion, because that's something that we definitely that we strive for, right? Inside the WomanUP community, we definitely from the beginning have focused on having diverse voices shared. We definitely find that where is the hardest is the board tables, getting our leaders onto the board table. So before we scoot to the next one, what is your advice for those who are watching or listening to this conversation, who are like, well, how do I get on a committee? How do I build that resume like Leslie did? How do I do that? What did you do to get on all of those committees?
Well, you have to start somewhere. And my recommendation would be to start at your local level, because once you start at the local level, then hopefully you'll do a great job and you'll be interested in moving into the vice chair or chair of a committee, and then maybe even to leadership. And then from there, you can move on to the state level and beyond. I was a member of a board, not the one I'm a member of. The one I'm a member of now, I've been a member of for, as long as I've been in real estate, but I was a member of another board who would not allow me to be their president 5 times. Because my father was NAR president, and I never knew what that had to do with anything when he's in Ohio and I'm in Texas. But really what it was, I hate to say it, I'll call it like it is, a bunch of jealous females. I finally came to the conclusion, and now I'm talking a long time ago, not very recently, but I knew that I had 2 choices: stay there and go nowhere, or change my affiliation and have a chance. And I changed my affiliation. And I know that they're not happy that I am NAR president, because I wasn't good enough to be their local president 5 times. And then I was told, we're done with you. And I had chaired numerous committees, been on their board of directors for 8 years, and volunteered for 18, a long time. I'm probably the first person in the history of NAR to be local, state, and national president in 1 decade. Because I literally did 2 decades of work before I even got to be was able to be local president. Mm-hmm. So, I was fortunate that association saw, opportunity with me and leadership, and agreed to endorse me to run for state. But I started backwards because my dad didn't give me a chance. There were other people who knew me through my father, and they decided so Charles McMillan, who's our first African-American NAR president in 2009, who was he would have been the one to install me if he were still living, but he was my mentor. And I just love the guy, but he gave me a liaison position on the extended leadership team in 2009 because he knew what that association had done to me, and he wanted to give me an opportunity. Well, I took it and did what I could to shine. And from there, I was given the fundraising liaison position, which is now more like the Realtor Party director. And then 2 years later, I was one of the 2 appointed vice presidents for Gary Thomas from your state in California. And that was, where we went from there. So, it's interesting. You never know how you're going to get someplace. You can't plan it. It's not something that you can just map out, because I know too many people who try to map it out and then they get frustrated when it doesn't go their way. So just be open-minded, and it is okay to say no. Sometimes it's just not going to fit with where you are in life. And you can say that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you do have an opportunity, especially if it's a high profile one, take it and kill it. Just knock it out of the ballpark and do as good a job as you can. And, one thing I was going to add to what we were talking about earlier about my dad, the last time I saw my father alive was right before the May meetings in DC. I showed him my brochure for Texas, And I said, my opponent has dropped out. So I am going to be the chairman of the Texas Realtors in 2016. And then I'm probably going to run for NAR. And he took my brochure and pushed it back across the table to me. He would not pick it up and look at it. And that crushed me. And that's my last memory of my father alive. And I went straight to my mom and I said, Mom, why did he do that? And she said, honey, it's not supposed to be you. It's supposed to be one of your brothers. Well, you know what? All that does is fuel my fire. That just makes me want to be better than I could have been, because you just made me want to do something more than I did 5 minutes ago. So I love my dad. I have so many things I've learned from him, but I also think in the end, as much as you hate to say it, I'm a better person for what I've been through. But when you go through it, you don't know why. You don't understand. Right. It makes no sense, but it's, the old saying, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Then something comes your way and you're like, okay, that's why that happened. To make me stronger for this. So when things don't go your way, don't let no bother you, because my saying has always been, if I let no bother me, not a single one of you would know who I am today. So I didn't let it bother me. I just kept on going. Wow. But you don't like me? Okay, fine. I'll go somewhere else where they do.
And you turned that pain and rejection into power. Your own personal power. And that's strength. That goes back to your S.
Yeah. Right? And you can go either way. You could say, okay, I give up. They don't want me. I'm done. But I knew, because I had enough people say, no, we do need you. You are what we need. And there is somebody in leadership that says that every year their New Year's resolution is to be like Leslie, to be kind to people, because I am nice to everyone. I don't treat anybody badly. Unless you want to treat me badly, I may stay away from you, because I've learned my lesson. It's like touching a hot stove and you're like, okay, I get it, and stay away. But just treat people the way you want to be treated. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you a situation that happened. I won't tell you who or when, but somebody who has not been nice to me at all, who is a male in leadership of, through the years. So you know what I did? I was speaking at a meeting in their area, and I said, there's someone in this room who has done an amazing job through very uncertain times. Would everyone please get on their feet and give a standing ovation to so-and-so for the amazing job that they've done this year? Everyone stood up. They're ignoring me because they always ignore me. And then they realize everyone's standing up and they're like, oh, I guess I should stand up and clap. And then they asked the person next to them, what are we standing up for? And they said, you. And you could just see the look on their face. I'm standing up on the stage watching this, thinking it's just amazing. But then I have people come up to me and say, why are you so nice to that person when they're so awful to you? And I said, because I was elected by the members to serve as their president and to be their leader. And I will lead by example, not by the example that you have seen. And that's why when I say treat people the way you want to be treated, and people don't understand why I can be nice when someone's not. I get pleasure out of it. I really do, because I know I'm the better person for doing things the right way.
Leslie, can you come talk to my daughter? She's having mean girl issues. I mean, really, I want to set up a weekly Zoom with you and her.
Oh, that's a whole other subject matter with my kids. I've got to tell you, I literally could tell anybody with kids some great pointers on how to raise kids on things I did. And my mother would say, where did you come up with this stuff? And I said, the best way to talk to your children is in the car with the rear view mirror. Because they're captive.
Yeah.
And you can see their expressions and their body language. And when they roll their eyes at you, and it's just funny because they don't know what you know.
They don't. And we were talking in the green room how much they actually did absorb those lessons from you. Wow. Well, I want to switch gears a little because our community is really into brokerage leadership and learning lessons about the challenges there. And it does tie back to your S for strength, strengthen your balance sheet numbers and strengthen your brokerage. So what challenges do you see as a broker owner, CEO? What challenges do you see up ahead and what can we be doing to prepare?
Well, there's always challenges. Like every hour, I get an email about another lawsuit or someone else who's going up against NAR for something else. I mean, it's worse than it's ever been. I think we just kind of live in a climate like that. As we all know, being in real estate is very competitive in just getting business, let alone retention and recruiting of agents. And that's certainly a very time-consuming part of being an owner of a company. I think too, one thing that a lot of people don't realize, but since I've grown up in this business, I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen where women were not really accepted in real estate, hence why we have Women's Council of Realtors. So you don't see that we have men's council, we have women's council, and there's a reason for that. And there's a reason why we still have a need for that. But when I was younger, I mean, a lot younger, before I was in actually real estate or even old enough to be in real estate, you pretty much had people retire by the time they were 60 years old. So you think about that. There's a lady in our area who's in her 90s who lists and sells and drives a car just like we do. Eddie Halliday, who was my mentor, died 8 hours shy of 104 and a half years old and drove to the office every day till her 100th birthday. That's 40 years difference from retirement decades ago. And then you think about it, you had like maybe 4 decades of people in generations that were in real estate. Now you have twice that. And there's a big difference. And technology has changed all of that. You look at people like, okay, so I can make fun of my husband because he knows I do anyway. So we did this video for Realtor Party training in Nashville, Don't Be Your Parent. And of course, his first comment was, is this to make fun of me? And I go, maybe, yeah, a little bit, because living with you is like the epitome of don't be your parent. He's a little bit older than I am, but his mind doesn't work like our mind. He doesn't get technology like we do. It's just not happening. So an example of what our daughter wanted to do is don't be your parent. She wanted to have us all sit there with our phones, and she was going to say, okay, now I want everyone to put their phone on silent because we're going into a movie now. And then my husband would go, I don't have that on my phone. Because he doesn't know what he has on his phone. Because he
don't have a silent button.
And this is my whole life. So it kind of reminds me of real estate. When you look at, you can get your license at 18, and you might have someone in your office that's 90 something that's still actively listing and selling. You got a lot of people to please here. You got a lot of generations to please. You have all different levels of technology. And, I remember when our son got in the business and his voicemail said, hey, this is Austin. Don't leave a message because I won't call you back. Text me. And I said, oh, boy. Okay, so did you want to be on our team? Because that's not going to fly. And he said, Mom, that's how we roll. That's how my age is. And I said, what if you get some old lady like me? And I get that voicemail. I'm going to go click and go somewhere else. And he said, I said, so you want to limit how many people you can get as clients? So anyway, I made him change it, obviously. But that's the difference. And, you get to someone in their 80s and 90s, they don't even understand technology. I remember when we used to have MLS books, and there was a guy who said, well, if we ever go to computers, I'm out. I'm not going to be in real estate anymore. And I'm like, really? You're not even that old to say something like that. Guess what? I've never seen him since they did away with the books. And I bet he was in his maybe 40s. At that time. But think about what that time was to those people. So much has changed, including the language that we speak in our business, that I think as an owner, you've got to really think about the gamut of people that you have, all the generations that you serve. And you really need to create a culture within your brokerage that can have the young people help the older people, and the older people help the younger people, and everyone else in between. Because I know that a lot of times when younger people come in, they don't understand the business. They don't know how to get on MLS, whatever it may be. People who've been around a while can help with that. Maybe the younger people can help someone older with technology. I think culture, I know money is important. I know everyone's split is what they look at first, but I can tell you, if you're happy where you are and the culture is amazing, the split is secondary. It's not primary. And I think communication is another issue that we have with everything, because we're all overwhelmed with all the other means of communication that we have to deal with. And, you just have to find out what works best with the people that you serve that are within your office, and try to minimize your communication. But where we are, we have office meeting every Monday morning, but we have much better participation doing it virtually than we ever had in person. Yeah. So, you just have to think about what's best with your audience being your agents.
I love that. I heard a really great quote on a call I was on this morning, and it was, change is inevitable, suffering is optional. I looked it up, and it's like, it's been attributed to like Dalai Lama, the Buddha, like all different sorts. Nobody knows where it came from, but I was like, oh yeah, like this is centuries old, right? I love that you're reminding all of us to recognize everyone's individual value, to really pay attention to to change and how it could impact others.
And realtors don't like change.
No, in general, you're so right. They're well, what's interesting is I think there's a really loud community that doesn't like change. And then there's this other community that really is the visionaries, like the early adopters, and they just simply adopt and go.
Yes.
They don't really wave the flag like you're missing out. They're just like, I've got something amazing and I'm going to use it. And we saw those people soar over the last 2 years. That's for sure.
That's right. And a lot of people that didn't have to get with the program before got with it really fast, so when you need to change,
yes,
when your career depends on it, there you go. So that's, I just talking about age, and I hope we do another show like this in 20 years, but I was reading that the Golden Girls, that show, that those women are younger than the women in Sex and the City in that reboot that just happened, and I'm just thinking about how they were in their early 50s, and just how we think about that today. So I love your attitude about being in it for the long haul. You know what I mean? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Well, I'm looking at the time, and I think it might be time to ask for words of wisdom. This is an example of one of the shows that could go on for hours, and we don't love it. But why don't we wrap it up with any resources you'd like to share and any words of wisdom to send us on our way, Leslie?
Well, I would say top of mind is always to treat others the way you would want to be treated. And I think that people need to think of that a lot more than they do. I think we need to bring civility back. I think after 2 years of kind of being out, there's a lot of people that just haven't gotten back with the program of just being good listeners. First of all, you can't be a leader if you're not a good listener. You need to listen to what other people say. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it also doesn't mean you have to hate them because they don't agree with you. And I've seen a lot of that. And one of the things I talked to Leadership Academy about yesterday, as I said, when you see someone at the microphone fail to introduce someone that they should, or act like someone's not even there or in existence, it is not a reflection on that person that they didn't introduce or acknowledge. It's a reflection on them. And always remember that when you're in leadership, because I see that time, people think, oh, they're a threat to me, I'm not going to acknowledge them. Or, oh, I'm going to be running a campaign with them, so I'm going to pretend like I don't know them. You know what? Everyone sees what's going on. You're not fooling anybody. So step up and be a leader and do the right thing. So that's kind of where I'm coming from when I say that. But, being a leader is be you, be yourself. Do not try to be someone that you're not. I know someone who decided to run for a position. So the next thing they did was put a profile picture up on social media of them with a past president of the United States. Like a big name dropper, like, look who I know. And I mean, it went over like a bomb because everyone's texting, did you see? Oh my gosh, what's the point of this? And I just stay out of it. But, and the more you stay out of, the better you are too.
Stay above the fray. Stay above the fray.
I tell people, I go, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had some really good conversations about that over the years. I'm reminded of the first Lioness talk I did was that 2018, about empowering the women who we're meant to do life with. We're not meant to do life with every single other female on the planet simply because we identify with the same gender. And I love what you're saying, right? Like when people call and they want to gossip, you just say, let's talk about ideas and visions. Like, how can I help you with where you want to go? Let's not talk about people. Ish. I love that. Okay. So before you go in the next, say 90 seconds, let's do some fun rapid fire.
Okay. I'm ready.
So first, what was your first job?
I modeled and I did not like it because I don't like to sit still. So modeling wasn't my thing.
I love it. Okay. Go ahead. Okay. After being a realtor and the NAR president, what is your dream job?
Okay, so y'all are going to think I've lost my mind, but this has been my dream job like my whole life, so nothing's changing. But I would like to own a marina where on my breaks I could go jet skiing, and then I could just come back and fill other boats and stuff up with with gas, and fill their tanks up with water on the big boats. And then at night I want to be a DJ. So, a little fun, little party, pretty much all day and night.
Yeah,
DJ, LRS.
I would have a blast. I mean,
yeah.
I'd be out there like moonwalking while I'm pumping gas and, dancing like my idol, Michael Jackson.
I love it. Well, that you say that. We know you love to dance, and we know Michael Jackson is your favorite. Do you have anything interesting in your house, the house that represents Michael Jackson?
Well, right here to my left is a bronze statue of Michael Jackson. I just was enamored by him. I still am, because I've never seen anybody dance like they're literally floating on air. And he was so smooth. I was like, what kind of shoes does he have on that he could do that? So back in the day, which some of you won't know what I'm talking about, but I carried my boom box with me wherever I went. I'd spin on my head and do moonwalk and everything. And I was pretty good at it. Right now, if I were to do it, you'd probably need a crane to get me back up off the ground, but I still think it's pretty cool.
I love it. I will never look at the breakdancing Bitmoji ever the same ever again, ever.
Right? Well, I do a thing called Gumby legs, and I can still do that probably till I have hip replacements. But in the meantime, I can still do that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have so many things. I'm just going to pull them back for a second. What is the first thing you do in the morning?
Kiss my husband good morning. I love my husband. He's an amazing guy, and I still like him. We always say we don't just love each other, we like each other. And we really found that out through COVID, because we really had a nice time just hanging out together, not knowing where we were going the next day. So he's my buddy.
Love a good lockdown.
That's right. There you go, Leslie. That's awesome. Perfect.
You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, well, we enjoyed the time together. We really did. And I like when he travels with me when he can, but it just doesn't always work that way, because we are the crazy dog family. So we have dogs and a cat, and, all the furry children need attention too. So he stays home a lot just for them.
I love that. I love it so much. Well, I know that we have requested your presence in 2022 for the in-person conference, August 30th, 31st, and September 1st. So everybody mark your calendars. We have not heard the approval yet, but we are hoping to hear from your team that you will be there. And maybe with Shannon and a few other of the amazing leaders that you've got on your team. Yes. We do have one last question.
Yes.
And that is around nicknames. We've heard through the grapevine that you've got a few. What is maybe one or two of your favorite nicknames?
Well, so the one that's probably the most recent one has been the Sea-Doo Queen from Hell, because I act like an idiot on a jet ski. Although I blew out my back and had to have back surgery, was in a wheelchair for several weeks. And that's how I was installed as chairman of Texas, in a wheelchair. So that was a disc that herniated from jumping weights, but I don't do that anymore. I try to act like I'm 30 instead of 20. And then, believe it or not, in college, my nickname was Lester, and I don't have a clue why, but all my college friends, if they ever comment on anything on social media, they go, Lester, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, oh gosh, y'all, you can't be calling me that. That was like centuries ago. But anyway, some things just stick with you.
I love it. I think nicknames they are like little golden threads when we know when we met somebody through our nicknames. Right.
Yeah, right.
I love that. I think that's so beautiful. Well, as Leslie Appleton Young said earlier, our conversation could go on for hours, but we do need to wrap it up. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us today live. Thank you to everyone who is watching the replay. And we will have an announcement coming soon about a way for you to listen to it audio only soon. We do, of course, want to remind you there is so much activity happening on the Facebook group, in particular now that we are in the brand new year. We are pumping up the comments and the posts there. So hop on over, add your word of the year, add the leadership skill that you are looking to sharpen or learn this year so that you can be part of all of the decisions that are made in 2022 to honor and serve you on your vision to the very top of your career, no matter what that looks like for you. Until our next time together, everyone, take good care. Thanks so much for joining us.
Leslie, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you so much.
My Women Up tribe. Y'all are amazing. Thanks
We love
for having
it.
me.
We're so grateful to you. Again, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.